Today we're going to talk about Dagger brushes. I think daggers are one of the most underutilized brushes in the face painting industry, which is a shame because they are the most versatile brushes you can own. I have 4 of them, so I'm going to demo these for you, show you some tips and tricks on loading them, different ways to use them. Hopefully I will show you some things that you didn't know you could do with Dagger brushes. They are by far the most versatile brush that you can have in your face painting kit, and if you don't have one, hopefully by the end of this video you're going to want to buy one. For perspective, where most people would grab a 1/2 inch flat brush, whether it's flat or angled, and use that for certain things, instead of grabbing these 1/2 inch brushes, I would grab a Dagger because it has more flow and more versatility. So stick around and hopefully you will learn something new or be reinvigorated to grab that Dagger brush and give it another try. To start, I just want to discuss some of the differences between a regular 1/2 inch angled brush and a Dagger brush. You can see that this 1/2 inch from the face painting shop has a cut angled bristle, but the bristles are very, very short. On a Dagger brush, you have one very, very long end, and then it tapers. And it also tapers kind of like a half moon. So instead of having a harsh cut edge that's straight, it has this rounded edge, which allows you to do some pretty amazing things, especially with quick leaves that I'm going to show you guys. Now, a Dagger brush traditionally is actually quite short. So I believe in, the watercolor world, this is actually more of a sword brush. And the term is used interchangeably in a lot of different artistic fields. But typically a brush with very, very long bristles is considered a sword. And then as those bristles get shorter, it's a Dagger. But in the face painting world, I've only ever seen them referred to as Dagger brushes. As you get into other artistic ventures, or if you are, say, a watercolor artist, when they get very, very long on this side or they taper beyond this point and they get really, really thin, those are usually called swords, and they were used more for lettering and scribe work, which is another thing you can use Dagger brushes for, which I will also demo for you. So anyways, you can spot a Dagger brush by one side being very, very long. They're going to look dramatically different from those 1/2 inch brushes, and instead of a harsh edge, they're going to have a round edge to them. So the Dagger I'm going to start the demo with is a 3/8 inch from the face painting shop. And one of the reasons I wanted to show you these two side by side is because you can see they both look like 1/2 inches, but they are not. So this angled flat is a 1/2 inch short angled brush from the face painting shop. It's the pink tip line. And then the Dagger brush is a 3/8. So they look similar in size, but technically they are not. It's a little deceiving. So I'm going to go into it. Let's do some demos with this 3/8 inch brush and I'll show you what it can do. All right, so my Dagger brush is wet, just dipped it in water, and I want to show you guys how to load these. Instinctively, a lot of people I see want to hold a Dagger brush horizontally to the cake and then pick up all the colors on the long side, which instinctively feels correct. But what I want you guys to try to do instead is hold it vertically to the cake, place the tip of the brush down where you want the first color to be picked up, and then just place it down and run the brush back and forth vertically. The way the bristles move and separate, you are going to pick up all those colors you want to pick up, and you do not have to hold the brush like this. This can be a little hard to get used to because Daggers have that elongated bristle and it just feels awkward, but get in the habit of loading them this way. It is a lot easier, and what you're going to do is get your paint into the belly of the brush, where if you just load this outside part holding it horizontally, you're only going to load that outer edge of your brush, and you're not going to get as much out of your brush as you could. So I've got one layer loaded. I want a little bit more paint, so I am going to just dip the outer row of bristles back into my water, and then I'm going to continue to load this up. Okay, so one of the most brilliant things about Dagger brushes is the versatility in line work. So because it's so thin, I'm able to draw a very, very thin line. I could put a little bit more pressure down and get a medium-sized line. And then if I press and I turn the brush slightly, I can get a really, really thick line. Apologize that my brush is a little dry, and these boards tend to just pool the paint a little bit rather than absorb it like skin. So my brush isn't actually that dry. I don't know why it's doing that today. But anyways, you get the point, right? I can have a multitude of different lines using one brush. So when I'm on the job and I'm trying to go really, really quickly, this is one of my go-to brushes because I don't have to switch out brushes to get a variety of lines very, very quickly. So to demo why that can be really, really helpful in very specific designs, say I want to do a leaf. If I want to pull a stem from some flowers I'm doing, and then I want to lay my Dagger brush down and pull it and do a quick leaf, and then I want to just mirror that on the other side, I can do that very, very quickly on the job. As well as, let's just pretend there's a flower here, right? Do some double dip flowers. And then from that, I can quickly pull and drop and create a little sprig. This is one of my favorite things to do with daggers. Think of it as doing a double dipped design, and then depending on the amount of pressure you put down, you get a different variety of leaves. So you can also turn the Dagger brush the opposite way so that the toe of the brush is leading downward, and push and press and get a completely different looking leaf. Now if I had a design that I wanted to do, say a quick vine, I could pull and drag, drop and press my Dagger and continue to do that around or through a design. I also can use the Dagger brush to pull leaves going down and then strike through them because of that tip. I can also take my Dagger brush, press and pull down, and then do the same on the other side and create a nice little stem for flowers. So that is all with the 3/8 brush. So my favorite size of Dagger brush is actually a 1/4 inch. So it's a 1/4. I have 2 of them. This one from Marcella Bustamante Blazing Brushes just arrived today. I've never even used it. But this 1/4 inch from the face painting shop is my most beloved brush in my kit, and I only have one of them. So I tend to panic if I don't see it in my kit and I needed another one. So I wanted to try this one from Marcella. So far they look incredibly similar, so I imagine I will like it very much. And for this demo, I'm actually going to use the Blazing brush since I haven't used it. And since I use this one on the job so much and I know it like the back of my hand, I'll be able to give you guys a really good review of both and give this one a shot for the first time on camera. So let me get it loaded up. See, this is proof that I haven't used it. You know when you get brushes and they're stiff still? It's unbroken. So here, maybe you can hear the crack. I love that sound when you get a fresh brush. All right, I'm gonna get it loaded up. Another tip in regards to loading daggers and your one-stroke brushes, because these are only a 1/4 inch and they're not gonna cover even half of a one-stroke, pick 2 colors. So I'm picking this red and pink because I'm going to show you guys how to do a rose with Dagger brushes. So I'm going to pick those two colors, but I want white still on the toe of this brush. So I have my white activated, and I'm just going to double dip the toe of this Dagger brush into my white. And now I have 3 colors on my brush. Now, because these are smaller, the designs you do tend to fit on a child's cheek easier. Another one of the reasons why I love these smaller 1/4-inch daggers, as well as they just have more movement. You have more control over them, in my opinion, and you have more movement of the bristles, so you get a more artistic look. So I'm going to wiggle and drag. Now I have an incredibly detailed rose video on my channel. I think it's like almost an hour long or something. It's relatively intense, but it is for anyone who struggles with roses. So I'm not going to go into a full tutorial here with the rose. And if you need help with that and you want to know more, go search for that video because it is a very, very slow walkthrough. All right, well, so far I like this brush. Feels like my other Dagger brush. Bristles are just a tiny bit stiffer than the face painting shop. And I don't think that's just because it's new. I just think that's probably how Marcella designs her brushes. But it's actually the only brush I own from hers, so that's just an assumption. So I love using daggers for my roses and my flowers because I can really, really manipulate them and make them do what I want them to do. Unlike some other flat brushes, you just cannot manipulate them as much as you can dagger brushes. So it's not just roses that I use my daggers for. I use them for other things too. But I just love the way I can paint a rose with them. Here's one of the biggest reasons why. I have such a defined tip with this dagger that I can drag the tip. And then when I press for that petal and I pull, I get a much more broad variety of strokes than if I were doing this with a 1/2 inch. So same on this side. I'm going to drag the tip around and then pull. And then I can go in and even create another petal if I want to, because I have that nice thin edge. Now another thing that I might do on the job with a dagger is I quickly rinsed this out with water, and now I'm just going to go right into my white, which I've got it a little bit muddied, but on the job I don't care. I'm still working on the same kid. I am going to grab some white, and now I'm going to do some accents and line work with my dagger. So I can draw with this. And this is something that I just can't do as easily with a 1/2 inch or some of my other brushes because I don't get that thin line, and you can just skate right on the top of the toe of these brushes, and you just have so much versatility. So not only can I do that, but I can water it down really quickly and just grab white on the edge, and I can do just grab white on the edge, and I can do that ghost rose leaf, which if you guys haven't seen that tutorial, if you're into ghost roses, which seem to have kind of blown up, I think it was last year I did that tutorial, and it kind of blew up all over the place and everybody got really, really into them. So if you want to see that one too, go check it out. But this is how quickly you can do things all with one brush. And of course you can go crazy and even do swirls, which I love. Now this, where it breaks, the brush breaks because it's getting dry and you get multiple strokes out of it. I personally love that, and it does not bother me when it does that on the job. I actually find it beautiful and I embrace it. But if you don't like that, of course, just get a little bit more water. Now, the other part of the whole aspect of being able to do line work is if your rows got muddied on the job, then you can use this to etch out anything that you need that might not have gotten lined very well or that's disappearing, as well as if you had to use this to do a few quick dots, you can do that as well. So talk about versatility. I mean, you just cannot get more versatile than a brush like this. And I always see those questions, like in the face painting forums, like if you could bring one brush to a job, what would you bring? I would pick a Dagger brush because I can do 100 things with a Dagger brush, and I think I'd feel pretty good about it. I think I could do an entire job with a Dagger brush. I don't want to because I like my other brushes too, but I think I could do it. So here I can even define the inside of my rose a little bit if I need to. And just look how thin of a line you can make. And then super thick. It's just amazing. All right, so I like the Marcella brush, definitely nice. I would absolutely encourage you guys to buy this one. It's a great brush, reminds me of the Face Painting Shop one. So either one of these in the 1/4 inch is a win. So I mentioned in the beginning that I also like to use my Dagger brushes for lettering. So if a kid wants their name on their arm, it's just so easy to use these because I have that flexibility of dragging the tip for a thinner line and then pushing out and back. It's kind of like a calligraphy pen if you ever have done any lettering like that, which again, these brushes were used for lettering back in the day. So just kind of works that way. And then if you want to draw with them, you know, if you want to add something like a heart on top of an eye, it's just really easy to do that because these are so flexible. So say I wanted to do more of a block letter look. So you can make so many different types of letters with these. You could even do more of a bubble, like open bubble letter if you wanted to. Or you could etch out the letter if you weren't comfortable painting it, and then you could fill it in really quickly too. So super flexible brush when it comes to lettering, however you want to do your letters. And it would also be a pretty easy brush to do cursive with. And then again, you have the ability to go thin to thick as you needed, but you could get more of an elegant lettering look. My lettering is atrocious, so don't take this as like the best example. But I often have people ask me for, you know, names of someone who is no longer with us, so someone who's deceased, and for something like that you might want to do like cursive or something, and you can do that fairly easily with your Dagger brush. So So there you go. All right, so I'm going to show you the 1/4 inch face painting shop brush, and I'm going to demo this and show you guys one of the things I use this brush for, hands down on every single job I do, no question. And I have been using this brush for tiger stripes for a few years now, and I normally do tiger stripes in black. But I'm going to show you guys this blue and purple since I'm on the black board. Now, I essentially double loaded this with the blue and purple of my cake. And one of the reasons I love this brush for tiger stripes is because it is the epitome of what a tiger stripe is. It starts thin, and then you press down, you can wiggle and pull back into a thin line, and it is perfection. I can do this so quickly on the job that it makes parents' heads spin. So not only do I do the tiger stripes, but I do all of the line work on a tiger with this. I will go down to the nose, and I will do a swoop on one side and a swoop on another side. I will press down, wiggle for that little triangle. My board is so dry. It's not the best demo, but you know, I don't have a kid here all the time, so I usually just press down and wiggle, and on skin it works. And then I pull it around for the muzzle, and then I can pull in. I feel like I'm doing those backwards. I am painting upside down, just so you guys know. So I did do those backwards, didn't I? Backwards for you guys. It's correct for me since I'm facing that way. If that makes sense. So I want to do this way for you guys. Does that look correct? Yeah, I shouldn't paint upside down when I do these videos for you guys, so please forgive me. Anyways, this for those tiger stripes is just so perfect. And I like my tigers better ever since I started using this brush, because it really does a lot of the work for you. You just skate on that toe, press down, come back on the toe, skate on the toe, press down and wiggle, and you get that abstract tiger stripe so perfectly. You just cannot do that with any other brush. Just brilliant. If you don't use this for anything else, use it for your tiger stripes. I promise you, you will love this brush after that. I also like Dagger brushes to outline butterfly wings. So typically if I had sponged wings on a butterfly around a child's eye, and then I want to trim it out, I can triple or double load one of my Dagger brushes, and I can do the butterfly wings. So I would drag the toe down to line it out, and then I'd press and pull, and then pull it in. One of the reasons why this is great is because I've got that thin toe, so I can drag lines in, remember? So brilliant. So I can pull all of those pretty butterfly stripes right in. So when loading Dagger brushes, also think about it in the way that you double dip or you load your double dipped flower brushes. Always dip that toe in a darker color or in black, because you're just going to add to the contrast so much of what you do. So if I want to do some little antennas, I can pull the toe and press, pull the toe and press. And I've got a cute little butterfly, whether you're doing something on a kid's arm or you're edging out on a child's face. So the versatility of this brush is just endless. You can back press it, do nice long flowing leaves if you're doing a tropical design, And then you can also just press it. The last Dagger brush I have in my kit is a 1/2 inch. Typically a 1/2 inch doesn't seem like that large of a brush. Here is the 1/2 inch short angled brush for comparison, but look at the amount of bristles you have here. It's a big difference, right? So even though the ferrules on this brush, the metal part that hold those bristles together, are the same size, you have a ton of brush here and not a lot of brush there on that 1/2 inch flat. So this is gonna hold a lot of paint, which is great, but it's a little large for me for kids' faces. So, and I don't do a lot of body painting, so this is not a brush that I use often. It's a beast to load too, so I'm gonna show you how to get this one loaded up. If you're doing body painting or if you're doing an arm painting on someone, this is a brush you might want to grab. The size makes it not a necessity for me in my kit, but I will show you guys how it works. It's going to work, of course, a lot of the same as the other brushes. Now, one of the biggest differences between these daggers and some of those 1/2 inches, because you have more bristles, you're able to load them more, and the belly of the brush is going to hold more pigment and more paint, so you're going to be able to paint longer too, as long as you're loading it well and correctly. So let's go ahead and do a flower. I mean, it's a really fun brush to use. It feels so nice to paint with, but this is creating a huge flower. So on someone's arm, beautiful. Someone's face, it's going to be overkill. I mean, this is my palm and that's the flower, right? It's huge, but just as versatile as all of our other Dagger brushes. You've got that tip that you can drag right through. You can create different little sprigs of flowers if you'd like. I'm gonna load this with a different color and do the center. So it's a great brush. If you tend to do more body painting, I would highly recommend this brush. If you're doing more face painting, then I don't think it's gonna be a necessity by any means. I would go for the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch for sure. But it's fun to play around with, so just kind of depends on what you're doing with it. I love the freedom of a dagger. It just flows so nicely. So get out those dagger brushes and play around with them. They're so versatile and really fun. They feel more like playing to me, probably because they're just so freeing to use, and I really enjoy them. Look at that. How fun is that?